Welcome, everyone. It's Career Happy Hour. I'm Andrew Beach, Executive Coach. I'm a teacher of self-education. I help professionals like you understand themselves better so that they can communicate that then to other people to find great opportunities faster. That's why I consider myself a teacher of self-education. We coach folks through a process of branding, personal professional branding, that is, planning, meaning creating a career map, and of course, professional networking, that is relationship building to find those opportunities. Welcome. Today's Career Happy Hour. It's 3 o'clock Pacific time. And every Friday, 3 o'clock Pacific time that I'm available, I recognize this is a holiday weekend, at least in the United States. So thank you for being here. If you are, happy Memorial Day to those who celebrate. You're welcome, by the way, to come on live and get some free coaching from me. It's a holiday weekend, and I'm happy to support your success in every way possible. And today's topic is actually LinkedIn search techniques. I've had so many people ask me about, hey, Andrew, I understand I should have a LinkedIn profile, and that's where I'm spending all my time, but what do I do then? This is a big question. A lot of the value of LinkedIn is actually connecting with people. So if you have questions about that, or you want to have questions answered live today, right now, you're welcome to click the link in the description. It will allow you to access my Restream green room, if you will, and you can ask private questions there. Put in the name anonymous. It'll ask you for your name and so forth. Just put in anonymous. And then you can put some questions here in the private chat if you're more comfortable doing that. If you need hands-on coaching right now, you're also welcome to do that. That said, if you have any questions, please put those in the comments or the chat box based on the profile, the platform you're joining from, and I'd be happy to do my best to answer. That would be questions, anything related to career, leadership, interviewing, professional networking, negotiating, building a brand, resume if you must, what to do with LinkedIn, how to negotiate something, or why isn't somebody responding to me? Why am I being ghosted? That sort of thing. Or, some of us, I think, at least this week, I felt an increased sensitivity. A lot of people are really not feeling comfortable. There's a certain amount of anxiety and fear. And this is a place where we can actually process some of that emotion. So you're welcome to, if you like, to come on and process your emotion. If you want to do that in your own way personally, that's fine. If you want to ask questions here about certain things and how to navigate what's going on, then I am happy to do that. Of course, you're welcome to connect with me on LinkedIn, regardless of what platform you're on here. Today, I'm streaming on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and of course, Twitter. I'm not going on Instagram today because today's session is actually going to talk about and go into LinkedIn itself so we can show you some things that other people maybe aren't showing you or you never knew existed. That's the whole point of this Career Happy Hour community, is we want to learn new things, we want to expand, we want to grow, and we want to connect with each other. That's why I really encourage you, regardless of what platform you're on right now, please put your LinkedIn profile in the chat or comments so that people can find you, so that you're acknowledging to everyone here that you're open to being connected with, and you will say yes when someone actually reaches out to you. It's hard enough these days, I think, to make connections. We have all been kind of isolated in a certain extent during the pandemic. And we're really approach avoidant maybe to connecting with people. We don't know their motivations. Well, we can certainly clarify their motivations. And if their motivations are not genuine, we can always cut that meaning short and or disconnect from them on the platform. So that's something to be thought about. But put your LinkedIn profile in there, and we're happy to make sure that we facilitate in some capacity the networking that we anticipate getting from LinkedIn. Now, it would really help this community if you shared out this broadcast. You could do that in a private message. You could text it to a friend. You could share it out on your social channels. So throw it out on your LinkedIn or perhaps on your Facebook, wherever you're watching this from. share it out to someone that you think might get value from this training. Every week, I'm here to answer your questions and to serve you in the best capacity I know how. And of course, if you're interested, you're more than welcome to complete an application to see if coaching with me would make sense. So please don't hesitate. The link is in my description, as well as on all the profiles that I have in social. So please take advantage of seeing whether or not coaching with me would make sense for you. So that's it for the housekeeping here today. So I'll go ahead and share my screen, and we'll jump into a couple of scenarios that I think might be helpful for you to see and understand, or even know that that LinkedIn is a very powerful database. It's a database of people, companies, groups, events, and a number of other things. But generally speaking, the value of LinkedIn is not your profile page. I know that's probably going to get me in a lot of trouble, because so many people are telling you about, hey, this is what's to make your profile page great. And I'm not diminishing their training. I'm just thinking in my mind, and a lot of the salespeople I know feel this way too. Of course, I come from sales, so I'm a little bit biased, I suppose, is that LinkedIn is an exceptionally great place for you to find, talk to, and interact with people. That's the whole point of the platform. It's not to have the perfect profile page. And I'm sure this is coming, but I haven't seen anybody yet take a profile, stick it in a shopping cart, and check out with a credit card. This is not 1 hour delivery by Amazon. That means that the value of LinkedIn really is the people that are on it, not the fact that you have the penultimate profile page. So let's think for a moment about where we would start in terms of networking and interacting with people based on that premise. And I would always start with my network. So when I go to my network, I can see here all the people who have sent me invitations. I can see all the invitations I've sent out to other people. I get to see all the contacts I have, the people I follow, the groups I'm in. I get to see my current state. And this is really valuable. And I'll tell you why. Because LinkedIn, especially if you're on the free version, the basic version of LinkedIn, they have commercial use limits. This is how they protect the sanctity of their monetization. Meaning, if you do too many searches, they think you're using it for commercial use. Therefore, you should be paying for premium service. And LinkedIn as a social network is one of the only social networks that actually charges just to access it. It's one of the only ones. The other ones make their money from advertising and other things. And LinkedIn does that too, but primarily they're looking to protect the premium services that they're selling on the back end. So this is where I would go so that I would avoid, number one, the commercial use restriction, and that I would access the people I already know. In this case, I already have almost 10,000 connections that I can leverage as part of my search strategy. Now, there's a couple things here as you look at my connections that I could do. I could search by name. That's rather problematic. I could filter by first name or last name or sort by those, but that's not helpful. What is really helpful is this little blue link right here that says search with filters. When I click search with filters, it'll open up a people search. But again, this does not apply to the commercial use limits because I'm searching my own network. And I can see here right off the bat people that I should probably reconnect with because I haven't talked to them in a while. And I could go right down through all of my connections from Terry Smith to Christina, etc., to Brian, to Amy, and so on, and interact with them in some capacity. I can also, if there's a company that I'm looking to market to or work for or that sort of thing, I can filter by a current company. And so you can see here, I might have an interest at working at Nike. So I could narrow down my search to people at Nike and reconnect with them. Maybe some of them are more arm's length in how I know them. And it still is valuable to say, hey, we've been connected. You look at their profile, you check their contact information, and lo and behold, you can see how long you've been connected. And maybe go back and see what the context was. If they sent you the request or you sent the request, then you can see how to approach that person. And each person in your network is worthy of discovery, especially if you're looking at a specific company. And so you can click in here and add a company and it'll show the results. So let's just take Nike as an example. I'll go ahead and click on Nike and click show results. And it'll show me all the people inside my network that work at Nike. And it's 174 results. Make sense? And I can use any of these filters, including the all filters. So many people miss this, the value of this tool. And this is just the basic functionality that everybody has when they access LinkedIn. You don't need premium to do this. Although I have premium, I can tell you that you don't have to have premium to get the value of these searches. And so when you look at all filters, it shows you all the filters that are accessible. So remember, I saw that first person on there was Terry Smith. He's been a guest on this this live stream many times. I can filter all of these connections by Terry Smith, meaning I could say, all right, I know Terry. Terry knows Brian, and I know Brian. And so if I met with Terry, I could see at the first degree how many people we have in common. Or I could just go ahead and unclick that and show results. And I can see that there's another 9 people. If we do the math, we had 1 in common, right? Brian, but we have 9 people that Terry knows that I don't know. Again, this is once I go outside of my first degree connections, that would then activate the commercial use restriction. So each time I do a search, each time I view a certain number of profiles, I'm going to activate potentially a commercial use tracker, if you will. And LinkedIn will track how many searches I do and how many profiles I view to see whether or not I'm using it for commercial purpose. Now, what will happen if I do that? Well, it'll actually restrict your account. And I talk about this. Actually, I have an article that I've written on LinkedIn about this kind of thing and and ways to get around it using Google search on the site. But that's a separate topic. What I will say is that it will only show you the top 3 results and it will ghost out all the rest of them. It puts a blur over the top of them. And that won't be reset until the 1st of next month. It could get to the point where if you do this enough, they'll require you to enter an email for every connect request. And so that's not something I want to subject everybody to. So please do your best not to activate that commercial use limit. So that's connections, locations, and people. What else could I do? Let me get rid of Terry here just for a second, figuratively speaking, of course. And let's go back to first degree connections so I don't get in trouble with the algorithm. And so you can see here, first degree connections at Nike. I can now look at all filters again. And let's say that I wanted to work at Nike and I wanted to put in all my past companies. Well, I can put in LHH, company I've worked for. I could put in Columbia Sportswear, a company I've worked for. I've also worked for Unisys Corporation, right? I can put in all my past companies. And here's the value, right? I reach out to somebody at a company that I'm connected to or not, doesn't matter. And then we worked at a past company in some capacity. So we have some commonality there. We're trying to make it easy on ourselves and the audience to say yes when it comes to an outreach for a conversation. So yes, I can now then show results or filter out those folks. I wish I could put my image somewhere else because it's covering up the little button to do that. But I can see here, there's 3 people that in some capacity worked at a company that I also worked in. And those are all people I'm connected to. And then I could get rid of that and see that I've got 3 that I'm connected to. But then I've got another, 365 that I'm not yet connected to that I would have an opportunity to leverage in that capacity. So that's another way to look at it. So let's go back and we will take a peek here just for a second at some of the others. So perhaps I want to look at people that I attended school with. So I could come down here. Let's see, and look at school. So yes, I attended Portland State and I attended Oregon State. So I'll pick those 2 schools and I'll click show results. Now, what do I have? I have a list of people that are fellow alumni at the universities that I attended, and I can outreach that way. And so these are at the first degree, and I can always get rid of that and click show results. And here now is 2,000 people. So this is now problematic, isn't it? When I have 2,000 people, how do I manage that many people? What I might do is actually use some of the other filters. So perhaps I'm looking for somebody in, I don't know, human resources. I don't know if no, it doesn't allow you to do that. It says industry, but that's not helpful. I could do it by title, I suppose. So maybe I put in the title, human resources. I'm doing that in quotations to search the key phrase. And I'll click show results. And now it gives me the opportunity to see 4 people at Nike that went to one of my schools in human resources. So if I had an interest in that space, I now have 4 people that I could outreach and have that commonality based on our areas of education. So I find that helpful, and hopefully you do too. So that's the first way. You start with My Network up here in the menu bar. You'll see that option. Make that full screen, make it a little easy for y'all. The My Network option, and you click on Connections up here at the top left. And then that will allow you, based on your connections, to search with filters, which is the blue link you see here next to the search by name box. And now I'm in the regular people search, identifying or talking to people in my network, 9,500 results, etc. And there you have it. That's the first way to go about this. The next way to go about this is from the profile page itself. So let's say throughout this process, I decide I need to reconnect with good friend Terry Smith, and I come to his profile page. I maybe want to check out what he's been up to. So I will look at Terry's activity. I'll maybe comment on it, share some insights, like some of his posts, just to kind of warm up the process here. So that's something I'm an advocate of. Make sure you're looking at people's stuff, and that you're commenting on it, adding some positive contribution in some way. So that's the first thing to consider. Now, as I come down, I may look at what's new for Terry, where is he working, what projects has he maybe completed, and so on, and see what he's involved in, and just get a feel for where he's at. So I'll cruise down his profile page and really just kind of soak it in, because we haven't talked in a while. And then I'll come over here and I'll just send Terry a message, or I can also search his connections. So let's say I'd already scheduled a meeting. I reached out to Terry. I sent him a text message or an email. I scheduled a meeting. We have something in the calendar for this afternoon, and I want to see who he might know at one of my target companies. And so, yes, I can search now from his profile page, people that we have in common. Okay. And by default, it's going to select the first and the second degree connections. It's not going to show anything else. Okay. So think about it from that perspective. Is now I can use these additional filters to filter down to, say, a target company. And maybe I'm considering NWEA. And now I can see that Terry knows at least 46 people at that company, maybe more, at varying degrees of connectivity there, or strength of connection, or strength of relationship. And I can lean into Terry if I'm looking at opportunities or wanting to talk to people at NWEA. It appears that he would have some connections there. So now I can then filter by, say, domain or title or that sort of thing, and get a better feel for how Terry might be able to direct me without, by the way, asking for a specific name. Hey, I want to meet Rob. Could you introduce me to Rob? That's a little weird. That's a little more like stalking. Okay. I'm really interested in meeting people that have expertise in diversity, equity, and inclusion. Who would you suggest that I talk to at the organization? Like to get some perspective from them. He would then say, well, it's these 2 or 3 people. If they're still there, I'd be happy to introduce you. Great. I take the 2 or 3 people. Now, that doesn't mean that everybody that works at NWEA is on LinkedIn. It may be that they're not. It's not uncommon. I run into people that are connected to others that aren't yet connected on LinkedIn for whatever reason. And so you won't have that capacity. So yes, you can search from an individual's profile page. And I'll go back to show you how I did that here, I went to Terry Smith's profile. I clicked on the 500 plus connections right here. And now I'm into searching his connections so that I can really be prepared and ask him questions that are based on his profile page and the people he's connected to, so that I can have a good conversation with Terry. All right. Good. So that's the second way to go. The third way to go is just from the search box at the top. Okay. I'm trying to show you in a series of steps that are going to be helpful to your process. Now, that means that perhaps you want to search something very specific. You can use the search box for that. And the nice thing about the search box is you can search more than people. So if I was looking for people in, again, human resources, and I wanted to see all the people in human resources, I could type in that key phrase, and LinkedIn gives me a set of search results, just like Google. In Google, you probably have recognized you see all results. You'll then see like images and videos and news and shopping and a bunch of other sub filters. In this case, we want to filter by people, or we could filter by jobs and so on. Another thing to consider is events. LinkedIn has created this event section that many people are not aware of. There's a live event happening every day of the week. If you're attending this on LinkedIn right now, you're attending a live event. So that means that if you did a search for a career happy hour, you would see all of the live events that have happened for career happy hour that I've put together. And so that's how you'd access it, through events. So there's all these different options here. And so from this point of view, you could then search by people in human resources and then work the different filters to find those that would be beneficial to you. And I find that super compelling to do this. And applying any and all of these filters is really entirely up to you. And you can narrow it as much as you want, keeping in mind, of course, the commercial use limits. Now, the other thing to consider is the company page. So let's say, as I mentioned before, that I was really interested in individuals at NWEA. And so I searched for that particular keyword string. Okay, I didn't want to do that. There we go. And you can see here now I get the same filters, but I want to search by companies. It shows the company there. I understand that. But here I can now go and click on NWEA. And so now I'm on a company page. This looks a little bit different than a profile page, but this is how we get to the same spot. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and follow the company. And I can see here that it has these little links right above the follow button that allow me to interact with people that work there. It doesn't allow you to search the followers. That's unfortunate. But now I can see there's looks like six people at the first degree that I know that are working there. I find that compelling. So some of these folks are people I know really well, and I can actually reach out to them and have conversation, and it wouldn't be unnatural. And then I could see who they're connected to at an NWEA that would be beneficial for me to meet next. That same process I did by going to Terry's profile page, looking at all their connections at NWEA, and getting a feel for how much they'd be able to support me based on what I gather from this tool to prepare me for that network meeting. So that's something to consider, is you can do that from a company page. Now, there was also an option there, if I remember right, to search all employees. All that does is execute the people search without the first degree filter applied. So that's the only difference between these two links. However, if you search the first degree connections, you will not hit the commercial use limit because you're searching your own network. Okay. And you can learn a lot of information from these company pages. They're pretty astounding, to be honest, in terms of the information there, the jobs that are posted, and what life is like there. And you can also see additional companies that you might want to consider if you're looking to sell or work for, companies that are in the educational space, like NWEA. Then you'd be able to find those here right on your LinkedIn company page. Okay. So that's the third way. The first way was My Network, the My Network option, top of the screen here on the navigation bar. The second was the profile page. I showed you on Terry's page, there's a 500 plus connection. And the third way is through the search box on LinkedIn on the homepage. And then the fourth way is from the company page. Now, the other part of this is looking at the fact that one of the options here beneath the follow button is a tab here called People. And LinkedIn has done a really good job at providing you analytics on where the employees live, where they studied, what domain they're in, etc. Okay, so if I wanted to say go work for NWEA, I could see that most of their employment looks like about half is in Portland, and 100 that looks like 100% I think of let me show more here. Looks like they're primarily US based. I don't see any stuff outside of the United States. So you can see here 1,000 in the United States, about half of those in Portland. Okay. I can see most of them have studied at the same universities I have. And then up here at the top, you can see next. When I click next, you can see what they do. So they're in IT engineering and sales. What did they study? Computer science, etc., education, and business administration. Okay. What are they skilled at? So they look at the skills on their profile and say, how many people are in leadership or management or teaching or public speaking? I'm seeing the key skills that many people at the organization have. That allows me to then say, okay, maybe I need to sharpen the saw in some of these areas. So maybe I'm not so good at the public speaking. Okay. Maybe I go and join Toastmasters or do a speech or start doing videos like I'm doing here to improve my speaking skills. And then how you're connected. So I get to see the connectedness that I have in the organization, recognizing that I'm not honestly very well connected in this organization, which is something that I can rectify by reaching out to and speaking with the people I already know to get to the second degree, and then expand my network to the third degree, right? So first, second, third. That's how the process, or at least how LinkedIn would encourage you to do this, and is that, hey, reach out to the first connections first. They're in your network already. Why wouldn't you leverage that or talk to folks about that? I mean, I certainly would. Okay, so there's a lot of value to do LinkedIn search to find people, companies, groups, schools, events, everything that you might think would be relevant to your success. So let's see, human resources. Yeah, so the other side of this is when you're doing search and you notice up here that you can find jobs. I could do that. I can find posts. Let's see what jobs looks like really quick. It's going to take me to another page because the interface changes. It's a different page. So you can see here based on my profile and what I'm searching for, they're giving me things local to me or pertinent to me. Your experience will be different than mine. That's the only thing LinkedIn has admitted about their algorithm is that it's unique to everybody. So it's not very helpful when you're trying to do work on here. You know, I could also look at posts. So if I click on posts, I could see posts related to human resources and what's going on in the domain and that sort of thing, and see people talking about it. Looks like Tony is putting together some videos to talk about that. I can see who it's posted by. So I can see from company, author, industry, right? I get some filters here that are different than the people search filters and allows me to identify the content that's relevant to me. I can also see here that once I apply a filter, it turns green. I can come down here and search schools related to human resources. And here I can see there's different schools that are related to that. I can also see groups. Groups are little micro communities based around topics of interest. And so if I have a topic of interest called human resources, I can find a group with 500,000 or more members. Here I can see 2.6 million members in software and technology. I'm looking for human resources, so that's probably not the one for me. Let's see, talent management executive. So maybe this one's me. And it has 700,000 members. So I'll maybe look at that as the #1 talent management group on LinkedIn. Great. I'll just go and join that one. It's not that complicated, to be honest. What else could I do here? Well, I could search for events. Maybe I want to attend an event this week that's related to human resources. I can come in here and Looks like there's January 1 doesn't help me. But let's see, does it allow me any filters? No, there's no filters here, so that's not helpful. But I can see here, oh, here's one happening tomorrow. Here's happened June 20th. Here's one happening. This looks like a summit. So it's going through, let's see, through Saturday. So through May 28th, right? I can come in here and I can find opportunities to interact with these events. Now you can get these on the company pages too. Although if they don't have any events registered, that won't show on the company page. So that's kind of problematic. And then if I want to sharpen the saw and take some courses on LinkedIn Learning related to human resources, I can do that. I can take a course. As long as you have access to premium service on LinkedIn, you'll have access to LinkedIn Learning. And occasionally your local library will have access to this for free. It used to be lynda.com, Lynda. So if you go to your library and you say, hey, I want to get access to lynda.com, the free version of LinkedIn Learning, they you give them your library card. At least that's the way it works here in Oregon. I don't know about your state. Your mileage might vary, but you should have an opportunity to get access to LinkedIn Learning at no cost. And so I love that part about LinkedIn, at least lynda.com prior to their acquisition. And then also, and I'm a service provider here on LinkedIn as well. So if you typed in career coach and you said filter by services, you would then be able to find people in career coaching that are offering their services. It's also a good way for you to determine your competition. So if you're a service provider here on LinkedIn, you can take a look at the different service categories and you can say, maybe, I think it's career coaching, isn't it? Career development coaching, right? I can see show results. And now I can see all the people that are in my domain, 26,000. I can look at their locations. I can say United States. Okay, so in the United States, human resources, career coaching, I have 7,500 competitors, just to give me an idea of who I'm up against. Okay, not that that's a concern of mine, because I think there's enough business on LinkedIn for everybody. But the idea here is you would then have an opportunity to see those people and find somebody maybe that works for you, or even narrow it even further and say, hey, I only want coaches that I can potentially meet in person in Portland Metro, where I am. And then you're saying show results. So really, I only have 88 choices of people I can meet or interact with here on LinkedIn. And so maybe I just take out the keyword string and see if this keeps my applied filters. Hopefully it does. Yeah, it does. Okay. So I can see just in Portland, I have 500 competitors, people that are saying they do career development coaching. So it lets me know who I'm up against, if you know what I mean. Good. All right. Well, I don't really have much else to share, and I do appreciate your attendance today at this particular live stream. It's an opportunity for us each week to get together, have a conversation, have a little teaching, answer some questions, get some people to come on live for career coaching or leadership coaching or whatever kind of coaching you want. And I'm happy to do it. So I want to thank you for coming today. If you need to connect with me, every platform I'm on pretty much has the same handle, and that's Branding Dynamo. So if you find me on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, whatever, that's the handle that I use. The only difficult one is YouTube, because you have to have so many views and so many subscribers to get a custom handle. So don't have that one yet, but if you want to subscribe to my channel on YouTube, that's fine as well. Might help me get to that point where I can get my own handle. But I do appreciate you. Hope you have a great weekend. If you celebrate, have a happy Memorial Day, and we'll see you next Friday for Career Happy Hour. Bye now.